good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to this new information session from CARE4BIO. So my name is Laura Sedaine. I'm a member of CARE4BIO network. So as you know, CARE4BIO is the NCP or National Contact Point Network that provides NCPs and applicants useful information and insights to help you apply for Cluster 6 funding within the framework of Horizon Europe. So we try to provide a better understanding of your Horizon Europe ecosystem and more focused on the Cluster 6. So I'm sure some of you are familiar with partnerships and some less so. So this information session today is dedicated to these partnerships and what partnership mean within the scope of Horizon Europe. So we know that partnerships have a dedicated annual funding on specific research and innovation themes within the scope of Horizon Europe, and we'll see that also with Cluster 6. So they provide support for transnational collaborations, and they're also a very good starting point to have access to EU funding. So in order to enhance the participation of all the European partners and beyond, and more specifically, widening countries, CARE4BIO will try with this session today to provide an informative session to share information on partnerships. So we'll try to cover a few topics. So first of all, what are Horizon Europe partnerships? We know that it's a very specific item. What are the differences between a regular annual program and a program within a partnership? What are the different kinds of Cluster 6 partnerships? We know that we have institutionalized and co-funded, so we'll see what those are, and how the partnerships' thematic priorities are established. We'll also see a few good practices and tips to how newcomers to Horizon Europe can take part into a partnership, how they can apply to it. And we'll have a focus today on the participation of widening countries. We know that it's not always easy to get access to EU funding, so we try to have an emphasis on the participation of widening countries. So today we have two speakers. So first one is Fabienne Gauthier, who is head of unit within the European Commission. So, hello, Fabienne. Thank you very much for your speech today. So you're head of unit in charge of common missions and partnership service within the European Commission. And we'll then have Georgiana Barbu from CARE4BIO as well. Hello, Georgiana, who will be presenting partnerships within the scope of Cluster 6. So thank you very much again to you two for your presentation and your time today. Before we start, I want to give two comments. So you can use the chat within the YouTube page to submit your comments and questions. So we won't have much time because it's a 1 hour information session, but we'll try and select a few questions to ask our speakers today. So please share your questions. And the second comment, and will be my last, all materials that you'll see today will be available on the CARE4BIO website. So the page where the event was published will add later on the presentation, so you'll be able to consult them afterwards. Okay, so that's all for the introduction. So now I'll leave the floor to Mrs. Gauthier for your presentation. Thank you very much again for your time. And yeah, the mic is yours now. I think we can see your screen.
Thank you, Laura. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to present to you today some fundamental aspects of the partnerships under Horizon Europe. where we are and what would be the next steps under our Horizon Europe work programs, and notably the next one for 2025, which is under preparation. So I have a presentation with a few slides, which will cover
I don't
the...
think we can see your screen in full mode. Can you
I will
please?
put it in full mode now. So
Thank
that these slides will will give you an insight on the partnerships rationale, and also then on the currently funded partnerships under Horizon Europe. So I guess that now you can have the slideshow. You can see them.
Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Voila. So let's move immediately to the first slide, where I would like, for those who are less familiar with partnerships under Horizon Europe, and maybe also with partnerships in the previous framework program, let me just recall what was the approach used for partnerships under Horizon Europe, and what was the rationale behind those partnerships. So what we wanted to do with Horizon Europe is really to align the partnerships that exist already for many years under our framework programs with the strategic orientations of Horizon Europe. So the priorities, the policy priorities that have been set under Horizon Europe, and also to some extent under the Commission's policies and initiatives, we wanted to align more the partnerships that existed in order to make them more strategic. Considering that also some partnerships are implemented for a long time. Last week we had our annual forum on partnerships, where we celebrated the 20 years of partnerships under our framework program, and also the activities that have been implemented under ERA-Learn together with the Commission. Those partnerships exist for a long time and have also been set up in the past in different modes, implementation tool. But what we wanted to do with the partnerships, and following the assessment of the previous framework programs, was to simplify and rationalize the architecture of these partnerships, and also how they are implemented in practice under our framework programs. So what we have done is that we moved from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe to more than 120 partnerships that had been implemented under Horizon 2020 to, for the first phase of Horizon Europe, to around 50 partnerships that have been implemented, and new partnerships that have been now identified for the second half of Horizon Europe. So more or less between 60 and 65 partnerships that will be implemented under Horizon Europe. So we have made a rationalization of the number of partnerships, and also in their setup, we try to simplify the process in order to have clear direction for those partnerships along the policy orientations of Horizon Europe and the relevant clusters under which they are implemented in our work program. This led to 3 types of partnerships: co-programmed partnerships, co-funded partnerships, and institutionalized partnerships, which also are implemented on the basis of different implementation tools. Co-programmed partnerships are, just briefly said, are partnerships which gather public and private entities, and where here the program of these partnerships, which is implemented, is done independently by the different partners and by Horizon Europe, which means also that the funding that is allocated for co-program partnerships is done either by the public and private entities that are designing these co-program partnerships, and the funding at European level is also allocated to the calls that are launched under Horizon Europe for these co-program partnerships. So here we have two strands of implementation of these partnerships, which are implemented together via a memorandum of understanding but each funding stream funding its own entities. So then we have the co-funded partnerships, which are based on the joint program that is agreed and implemented by the various partners. Here, co-funded are mainly implemented by public entities. And the committed partners to this program are working under the scheme of Horizon Europe with a top-up with a co-funding from Horizon Europe. So usually we have this co-funded from at the European level, which is 1/3, 2/3 of funding from Horizon Europe to this partnership, and 2/3 of the funding is brought by the partners involved in this partnership. So here we have those partnerships that gather, as I said, mainly public entities, and we have a co-funding at the level of Horizon Europe to this joint program, which is implemented by the entities that are part of this partnership. Then you have the institutionalized partnerships, which are mainly long-term strategic partnerships, and they require more integration, mainly through the use of a common dedicated implementation structure that will launch the calls for proposals under this partnership to implement the program, and also to some extent manage these calls for proposal using also a set of common implementation rules for the whole program. And these are institutionalized partnerships that are either implemented by public entities or also some public-private partnerships under Horizon Europe, the so-called Article 185 initiatives or the so-called Article 187 initiatives, which are the joint undertakings. So you can see here 3 different types of partnerships where the integration and the implementation means are gradually also leading to some integration, and which are also funded to some extent and with a certain share of Horizon Europe funding to the programs that are implemented. So we moved here through to 3 different types of partnerships that have been implemented, to a reduced number of partnerships due to the selection on the basis of specific criteria that have been identified in the Horizon Europe regulation. There is a list of criteria that we apply in order to select those partnerships under Horizon Europe via its Annex 3. And here, on that basis, we managed to rationalize the picture of partnerships to be implemented under Horizon Europe. So a smaller number of partnerships that is implemented, and those partnerships which are really strategically aligned with the priorities of Horizon Europe and of the relevant clusters that are implementing them. Under Horizon Europe, there is quite a big budget that is allocated to the partnerships that are implemented. You see now that we have 50 European partnerships that are implemented, but we have also the next one for the remainder of Horizon Europe that are currently under preparation following a selection of the relevant topics last year. So in total, we have a financial contribution to these 3 types of partnerships, which is around 25 billion euro that goes to the partnerships. And you have also a contribution from the partners which are not the Horizon Europe program, which are either the public entities that participate to these partnerships, like funding agencies, for instance, or which are also the private entities that participate to those partnerships, like in the joint undertakings, for instance, industry, or in co-program partnerships, also private entities participating in those programs. And here we amount almost to 36 billion euro of funding that is allocated to those partnerships. So you can see that in total, this represents quite a significant amount of the budget that is allocated under Horizon Europe, which amounts for almost 40% of the budget of Pillar 2, which is dedicated to partnerships. There is also for one big partnership that is implemented under Pillar 3, Horizon Innovative SMEs, which also receives budget from Pillar 3. But the bulk of the budget dedicated to partnerships comes from Pillar 2 of Horizon Europe. So quite significant amount that is implemented for the partnerships under Horizon Europe, as you can see through the slides. So what are the partnerships which are currently implemented in Horizon Europe? As I told you, we have 3 types of partnerships. So in light blue, these are the co-funded partnerships. We have in dark blue the co-program partnerships, so public-private collaboration under a joint memorandum of understanding. And we have also the institutionalized partnership in orange on your screen, which are either these public-public partnerships or the joint undertakings which involve private actors like industry. We also have under the institutionalized partnerships, the partnerships implemented via EIT KICs, the so-called EIT KICs, which are implemented under Horizon Europe and which are also included in the overall set of institutionalized partnerships implemented under Horizon Europe. And you can see that here we have a diverse allocation of those different types of partnerships under the various clusters of Horizon Europe. So cluster 1 on health has mainly institutionalized partnerships and co-funded partnerships. You have also under cluster 4, here we have co-program partnerships which are implemented for institutionalized partnerships and also 1 co-funded partnerships that will be implemented in the future. The same for cluster 5, so more or less a balanced allocation. And for cluster 6, the program for partnerships, where partnerships are involved, is mainly implemented through co-funded partnerships and also through institutionalized partnerships. So those partnerships which have been identified for the first part of Horizon Europe, we had around 50 partnerships that were implemented. And we have for the second part of Horizon Europe, so last year, we identified also a new set of partnerships that would use the budgets from 2025 to the end of Horizon Europe 2027's budget, 2027 budgets for Horizon Europe. And we identified a new set of partnerships that you can see here on the slide, marked in red, where we have 9 additional partnerships that will be implemented for the second half of Horizon Europe in the coming years, and which are currently under preparation. So as I said, we had a first batch of partnerships implemented between the start of Horizon Europe until 2024. Those are continuously being implemented for the whole duration of that program. But last year we selected another set of partnerships to be implemented through the remainder of Horizon Europe. And these are the 9 partnerships which are here, with 4 co-program partnerships to be implemented and 5 co-funded partnerships. In cluster 6, the additional partnership that will be implemented is on forest and forestry for a sustainable future. Those partnerships are currently under preparation because there will be calls, of course, to be also implemented through these partnerships. And for the co-program partnerships, also the memorandum of understanding and setting up also the structure that will manage these partnerships are also under preparation. So this is work progress, but for the next work program in 2025 to be implemented, there will be budgets and calls that will be allocating funding to those partnerships. So how did we select these partnerships under Horizon Europe? It was the same process for these additional partnerships that we used for the second batch of partnerships to be implemented until the end of Horizon Europe. We used the criteria that are set in Horizon Europe and which are applied or were applied for the selection of all the partnerships under Horizon Europe. So those which were implemented at the beginning of which were launched at the beginning of Horizon Europe, and those which will be launched soon for the remainder of Horizon Europe. And those criteria had to be demonstrated by the potential topics that under the potential topics that would implement those partnerships, which means also under the relevant clusters. And here we worked hand in hand also with the representatives at a member states level and associated countries level in order to identify those partnerships. So we used the criteria that are on these slides. So these partnerships had to show that this type of instrument and this type of activity to be implemented under Horizon Europe would be more effective through a partnership rather than through any other type of calls for proposals or instrument that would be implemented under Horizon Europe. For instance, the projects that are implemented via traditional calls under each relevant cluster, like for instance, innovative actions or CSAs and so on. So here the partnerships or the topics in which there was the intention to implement a partnership had to demonstrate its European added value and the fact that a partnership was the best instrument and the best mean to implement these policy, implement R&I activities under these policy priorities. Policy priorities. We also, the criteria that have been applied also had to show that there is an interest and a commitment from the potential partners, that those partnerships are coherent and can work in synergies with either other actions under our policies or also other programs, that there is coherence, that there is no duplication of those schemes, and that there is also no overlap between those new initiatives and the ones which either are implemented or those which are implemented in the various calls under the various clusters of Horizon Europe. Of course, we use the principles also of transparency and openness to partners, additionality and also some directionality. This goes with the fact that we foresee an alignment of those partnerships goals and strategies with the priorities of Horizon Europe, and we also wanted to make sure that these partnerships also can be implemented in a flexible way, and that there is also some measures that are foreseen in the long run for the evolution of those partnerships once the framework program would come to an end. So here those criteria have been assessed at the level of the Commission and also hand in hand with our partners at member states level, and there has been a list of new partnerships which you could see on the previous slide, a list that has been issued of new partnerships to be implemented for the years 2025-2027. So here, those criteria, as I said, have been implemented have been used and used for all the partnerships that have been selected under Horizon Europe. And this led to 9 new co-funded and co-programmed European partnerships in the next strategic program for the years 2025-2027. As I said, the selection process has been done in co-creation with member states and associated countries. For that, in the Commission and also at the level of the program committees and of the level of the member states and associated countries, we have some structures which are identified as being part of the Horizon Europe strategic process for designing our programs under Horizon Europe. We have a group of member states and associated countries representatives, which is called the Partnerships Knowledge Hub, which provides advice to the Commission and to the member states on the strategies for those partnerships under Horizon Europe, on the possible list of partnerships to be selected in order to be implemented under Horizon Europe. And we of course also work hand in hand with the configurations of the strategic program committees, the one that you know, for instance, under Cluster 6. So here it is a selection process, as I said also before, that happened in collaboration with member states. And we also worked with an expert group that developed and also developed a methodology and also assessed those partnerships that have been implemented in the past and under Horizon Europe to see whether those partnerships are also relevant in terms of priorities under Horizon Europe. So the Commission worked here hand in hand with member states representatives and also with an expert group, and also that helps for instance, on the report and the expert group that has been published. This also helps later on to monitor also our partnerships and to see whether the objectives from a policy point of view have been achieved through the implemented partnerships. So what are the next steps for the candidate partnerships, the 9 candidate partnerships that have just been selected 1 year ago? We will have, we started already the preparation of the draft proposals for those partnerships. Those partnerships may continue or may design new strategic research implementation agendas in order to implement their program. And what we have done also in parallel, we have asked the member states and the relevant organizations and member states for the public-public partnerships to indicate also what would be the budgets that would be available for those partnerships under Horizon Europe, and that would be co-funded with Horizon Europe funding. So here, this is a process that is followed in parallel in parallel to the preparation of those partnerships together with the Commission, to know which will be the budget that will also be provided at member states and associated countries level in order to support, for instance, those partnerships under the co-funded scheme. So in July, we published the draft proposals on our website of those partnerships that have been identified. So you have it also on the table that I just shared with you before. And we, of course, started drafting and preparing the work program for 2025 and preparing for the co-program partnerships, the memorandum of understanding that will help implementing the co-program partnerships. So the draft work program is still under preparation, under discussion also with the member states and associated countries representatives in the context of the various configurations of the program committees. And we expect to finalize the first draft of the work program by the end of the year. And we would like, the intention is also to adopt the main work program early next year in the first half of 2025, where we will have the adoption of the work programs that will implement those different actions for the partnerships and also other actions under the various clusters under Horizon Europe. And the purpose is also to launch via the adoption, once the main work program in 2025 will be adopted, that we launch the partnerships calls under the relevant clusters, and in your case, under the work program for Cluster 6 that will be implementing also the partnerships that have been identified. And for the co-program partnerships, that we also early next year are able to sign the memorandum of understanding between the involved partners, be it public partners, private partners, and the Commission. So this is more or less the timeline, but for you to keep in mind the fact that the work programs are in the finalization process for the drafting, and that we intend next year to be able to launch the relevant calls that will serve for the implementation of those partnerships. So how could you be involved if you are interested in participating in partnerships? First of all, the research and innovation ministries, as I said, co-fund these partnerships. So here we are in the process of consulting, as I said before, the member states and associated countries to see to what extent what will be the budgets that will support also these partnerships to be co-funded under Horizon Europe. So this process is ongoing, and we will have soon also the amounts that will help, that will be devoted to those partnerships. The national contact points and also the strategic configurations of the program committees, of course, can also help and provide indications about those goals and partnerships that will be implemented in 2025. So here I invite you, of course, to get in touch with the relevant committees that are helping you. And today's event, for instance, is clearly an event that that helps via the national contact point, that helps also organizations to potentially apply, participate into these partnerships in the future. Also, there are also a number of associations at the level of the private sectors that are also co-creating proposals, preparing to be involved in relevant partnerships. Also, individual strategic research agendas, consultation processes at the level of at national level, and also opportunities that you have via our websites and our portal to get the relevant information about the calls that will be issued, the partnerships that will be issued, and also the ERA-Learn portal that gives specifically for partnerships, and you will see it in the next slide. I will provide the link, but there is specific information on all the partnerships and the relevant calls under the ERA-Learn portal. And that will be what we are, that will provide you all the necessary information in case you are interested. Linked to our partnerships and important information, and I guess relevant information also for you in terms of partnership, we in September issued what we call the biannual monitoring report, which is very useful information to get a picture of the different types of partnerships that are implemented, that have been implemented in the past, and also at the beginning of Horizon Europe. So I invite you also to consult this monitoring report, because it gives you all the information on the existing partnerships, also with dedicated information per country on the partnerships, about funding, about the consortia, about the contacts, and so on. So this is very useful information about the partnerships that we are implementing. We also have an ERA-Learn portal. As I said, we are working hand in hand also with ERA-Learn, which is providing information on its website on partnerships. And last week, we also had our yearly European Partnership Stakeholder Forum, which gathered the partnerships participants, also all over Europe, those entities which are interested in participating in partnerships. So I also invite you here to access to this website. The links are on the slide, given that you will also get some information about the discussions that took place last week. First of all, on the implementation and the successful implementation of partnerships so far, and also some reflection on the future of partnerships in the context of the preparation of the next framework program. Other resources, as I said, our European Partnerships website, which provides information about the proposals and contact points, relevant reports, infographics, and the latest news about partnerships. ERA-Learn portal, which I mentioned in the two previous slides. And you can, of course, also always reach to my unit and to us in case you have questions via our dedicated link that is here, and email address that can help, and where we will be happy to provide any information that might be relevant for partnerships and your participation. And of course, the national contact points under your relevant cluster, which also knows a lot, if not everything, about the calls under Horizon Europe and also the partnerships, and that for sure is helping the potential applicants for the next partnerships. That was briefly what I presented today to give you the latest information about our partnerships work, which is currently implemented and which will be implemented with new partnerships. So, and I'm ready to answer any question you may have. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Gauthier. I think that was very interesting to have this this overview of all the partnerships so far in Horizon Europe, and also have a little view over what's coming next, and especially these partnerships on this partnership, the cluster six partnership on forest and forestry. I think it will be very interesting to our community here. I don't see any questions in the chat, so maybe if that's all right, Mrs. Gauthier, stay with us until the end of the hour, and we'll collect the questions and comments for you to answer, if any. And maybe now I'll leave the floor to Georgiana Barbou, who will be presenting more in detail the list of partnerships and how to take part into a Cluster 6 partnership well, within our thematics, so agriculture, environment, etc. So thank you very much again, Georgiana, for your time, for your presentation. I think we can hear you fine now, and you'll be able to share your screen. So thank you again. I'll leave the floor to you.
Thank you, Laura, for introducing me. Thank you, Mrs. Gauthier, for this outstanding presentation. Please, can you tell me if you see my presentation?
We can see your presentation. It's not in full, now it's in full screen mode, so it's all good. We can hear you fine, and we can see the presentation. So go ahead. All good. Thanks.
Thank you very much. The first part is related to basic elements for newcomers. And I want to mention that Cluster 6 is part of Horizon Europe, you know already that, helps to implement the European Green Deal, and also is focused on projects that foster transformative changes to economy and society in urban and rural areas. This cluster is designed to support the European Union's strategic priorities in areas such as biodiversity, agriculture, food systems, and bioeconomy. Aims to advance knowledge and technology to promote sustainable practices and addresses critical challenges such as climate change, environmental degradation, and food security. And on the other hand, European partnerships emphasize long-term collaboration, co-creation of knowledge, and sharing resources, tackle multifaceted challenges through coordinated efforts, target particular issues within agriculture and sustainability, and also ensure that all stakeholders contribute to sustainable development initiatives in Europe. For Cluster 6, we have 7 co-funded partnerships and one institutionalized partnership. And I want to mention that all partnerships need to have a strategic research and innovation agenda, but I will give you more information later about this part. We have 8 European partnerships under Cluster 6, Biodiversa Plus, Sustainable Blue Economy, Water for All, Agroecology, Animal Health and Welfare, Agriculture of Data, Future Food S, and also Circular Bio-Based Europe Joint Undertaking. And now, what is Biodiversa? The European Biodiversity Partnership, co-funded by the European Commission under Horizon Europe, and it was launched in 2021. And here you can see information about the budget and how many partners are involved in this partnership. Water for All supports and promotes demonstration and access to the market of innovative solutions, and also provides tools for water management. The duration is 7 years. There are 90 partners involved from 33 countries. And here we have some areas of interventions like water for circular economy, water for ecosystems and biodiversity, water infrastructure, and others. The Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership will design, steer, and support a just and inclusive transition to a regenerative and circular blue economy. Was launched in 2022. The duration is the same, 7 years. We have 74 partners, and we have 4 thematic pillars for this partnership. The next partnership is Animal Health and Welfare Partnership. The aim is to reinforce preparedness against upcoming and emerging threats for both animals and humans, and promote and strengthen animal welfare. We have 90 partners from 24 countries. It was launched this year, and we have thematic areas such as farm management, animal-based welfare measures, livestock, aquaculture, resilience, and others. This partnership will start in the next period, but the aim is to support sustainable agriculture by using the potential that digital and data technologies in combination with Earth observation and other environmental and agricultural data offer. Agroecology partnership, the full name is the Agroecology Partnership Accelerating Farming System Transition, Agroecology Living Labs and Research Infrastructures. We have 72 partners, and this partnership started on January this year. The next partnership is Future Food Est. It's focused on transforming Europe's food production and consumption towards more sustainable and resilient systems, and also brings together leading experts, research institutions, businesses, and policymakers to develop joint solutions to the complex challenges facing our systems. Here we have 86 partners, including research funding organizations and research performing organizations. Was launched this year in June. And the last one is the Circular Bio-Based Europe Joint Undertaking. It is a public-private partnership between the European Union and the Bio-Based Industries Consortium. This partnership is funding projects that deliver bio-based solutions, materials, and products made from waste and biomass in an innovative, sustainable, and circular way. Is part of Horizon Europe program, and also contributes to the European Green Deal, and was launched in 2021. During this period, you can apply to calls. We have the Future Food Est Partnerships first transnational co-funded call, and the second one is integrating environmental, economic, and social perspectives in assessing the performance of agroecology value chain and policy implications. You can see more information about these calls on the websites. And now, current state of widening countries. This is the completed list of the widening countries. Now, I will speak about challenges and measures for widening countries. Challenges facing widening countries in the European partnerships under Cluster 6. We have challenges like budgetary issues, defining national priorities, and the alignment of partnership goals with national agendas, lack of personnel, including the need for experienced staff, involvement of national and regional stakeholders, lack of success in calls for proposal, and also administrative complexity of the European partnerships. And challenges, on the other hand, we have challenges facing non-widening countries in the European partnerships. And we can observe the following challenges: administrative complexity and lack of clear guidelines and templates, lack of staff, management and communication in a big transnational consortium, lack of clarity on the role research performing organizations, budgetary issues, and involvement of national and regional stakeholders. And now about measures supporting widening in the European partnerships. Organizations from widening countries are actively involved in this European partnership, these 8 European partnerships. Calls for proposals include incentives to involve partners from the widening countries. Goals of the partnership and its activities include priorities and interests of the widening countries, and dedicated activities are organized or planned in order to involve research or stakeholder communities in the widening countries. And for these measures, we have some organizations or networks involved in these activities: the European Commission, Consortia of European Partnership, thematic networks of NCPs or NCPs at national level, and other networks or key stakeholders. Okay. On this slide, I have selected some data from the BMR, the annual report on the monitoring of the performance of partnerships. And in order to obtain this data, a survey was sent to the European partnerships by European Commission. On this slide, we can see that the institutionalized partnerships present much higher success rates than co-programmed partnerships, but I have to mention that no data are available for co-funded partnerships at this moment. On this slide, we can see an increase in the private entities participation. This increase can be attributed to several key factors such as market potentials, shared expertise and knowledge, and also policy support. And no data are available for co-funded partnerships. On this slide, I want to mention that out of the 43 partnerships responding to the Common Indicator Survey, and the majority took specific measures to enhance participation of end users and private sectors. And we can observe that 26 countries, 26 European partnerships, include this measure for widening countries. Here we can observe that both co-financed and institutionalized partnerships have a high level of measures regarding widening countries. And now, good practices. These are the fundamental steps. Understand the partnership landscape, attend info sessions and webinars, and network at relevant events, engage with national contact points, participate in open calls, and develop proposal writing skills. Good practices and tips. Understand research priorities in partnership areas, such as biodiversity, agroecological principles, nutrition security, conservation of marine resources, and others. Connect with existing networks or living labs by attending info days, webinars, brokerage events, workshops, conferences, forums, and others. Identify research needs, challenges, and collaborative opportunities. Participate in funding opportunities. Share knowledge and insights. That means to disseminate research fundings and successful case studies or best practices to a broader audience through publications, presentations, social media, or other relevant channels. Propose collaborations with local farmers, industry, NGOs, and other key stakeholders or end users. And also engage in policy development. That means to participate in discussions or initiatives that promote sustainable food systems, animal welfare standards, circular economy, etc. And now, key takeaways. All partnerships need to have a strategic research and innovation agenda. And for that, you need to study the priorities mentioned in these documents. European partnerships have funding organizations in their structure, and beneficiaries in selected projects are funded at national level on the basis of rules agreed by partners. And for that, you need to check the eligibility of your organization and the possibility to participate in open calls with responsible organization in your country. Participate in as many networking activities as possible. And for that, check if you can get travel grants for this participation. And also, each partnership has its own research priorities. For that, you need to check these strategic research and innovation agendas, study EU policies, and create interdisciplinary teams. And of course, ask for guidance from national contact points in your country. These are our channels. If you need more information, you can contact us and to follow our channels. Thank you very much for attention.
Well, thank you very much, Georgiana, for your presentation. It was a very thorough presentation of all the Cluster 6 partnerships and tips and tricks to try and get involved in those initiatives. I really enjoyed to have extractions from the recent reports on partnerships to see how actions and measures are being taken to try and involve more widening countries partners. So that's really good. I think we have a couple of minutes for questions. So feel free to join in the chat to submit your questions if you have any. We'll still have Fabienne and Georgiana with us to answer those questions. Maybe one quick question for I can start. We've seen that there's a certain amount of budget dedicated to partnerships within this pillar 2. How often do calls for participation open for partnerships within cluster 6? Maybe Georgiana? Like, what's the timeline for calls in partnerships? We know that they come in regularly. It's not always easy to, they all have different timelines. Do you know how often the calls are being published for partnerships?
I think once or two times per year. I'm not really sure right now.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yes, I think from what we've seen so far, at least it's at least once a year. And for institutionalized and co-program partnerships, they can appear sometimes directly within the cluster work program, which is nice. I don't think we can see any questions. Maybe one question for you, Mrs. Gauthier. We've seen that those strategic and research innovation agendas are really, really important when we get involved into a partnership. How does the Commission follow the development of those agendas? Do you have an action in drafting those documents? How are they? Are they only decided between members of the partnerships, between member states, or do the Commission have an input in these strategic and research agendas? I think we need to.
Strategic research agendas are, of course, prepared by the consortia which are implementing the partnership. So it also depends on the type of partnership which is at stake, whether it is co-funded or co-programmed, for instance. So this is primarily done with the partnership. But of course, there is also while in the phase of preparation, depending also on the cluster and on the topic involved, there are also discussions taking place, because once there are calls, there are also a number of criteria that are applied in order to select those calls and in order to then align, in order to also get the proposals that are aligned to the criteria that are relevant for the selection. But as you said, the work program provides the basis and also the main elements upon which the partnerships will be implemented, the priorities. So it's important to look at what is expected in the call and also what are the criteria applied. But depending on the type of partnerships, there is indeed, there are some discussions because those partnerships have also been selected on the basis of our list of criteria in Horizon Europe, and there are discussions going on also together with the consortia involved. But primarily it is for the consortia to set up their strategic research agenda.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one comment and also a question. As NCPs or national contact points, we tend to say that it's easier to get involved into Horizon Europe through a partnership because usually the consortia are a bit smaller, the funding is a bit smaller as well, and it's a good starting point to get into EU funding. Is that something that you are, concerned with, or something that's also in your mind as a representative from the European Commission?
It depends also on the on the actions and on the goals that the organizations follow in applying to a call. When you participate to a call under Horizon Europe, of course, you have to build a proposal together with other institutions. In a partnerships, it's of course they also issue calls for proposals in a given topic, and depending on the criteria that are applied, of course, you may have, as you said, smaller consortia rather than bigger consortia that are there for the partnerships, and which usually cover a broad range of member states or associated countries, and potentially also non-EU countries to be involved. But it could be indeed a good start to participate to those partnerships, because you are part of a network of a smaller project, maybe depending on the type of projects that are funded under those individual partnerships, and it can it can be a first step, and it can also help you integrating also the consortia and a network of entities which are working and which are doing research and innovation in the same field. But to tell you, if and I think it was also in the slides presented by Georgina, the exact figures on how many depending on the type of instruments, on co-funded partnerships, we do not necessarily have the figures yet available, because our report also was did not at that time we did not have the possibility to measure also the outcomes of the first calls of Horizon Europe that have been implemented. But indeed, it can be also a good opportunity to join a European action, and then also maybe later on to build a research project under Horizon Europe. But let's not forget also the objectives of when you participate to a call under Horizon Europe or a call under a partnership, and when you also want to participate into a partnership as such as entity. It is the goals of the partnerships are very clear, and the partnerships is implemented because it is the best mean to implement the research and innovation agenda, rather than on specific calls under the different work programs and clusters. So always look at the objectives, at the consortia that the entities would like to build, and the topic in which those consortia would like to implement. On partnerships, it's a program mostly, a joint program, and on individual calls, it's to submit a common proposal for projects implemented by several entities. So the objectives are not all the same, but indeed, it's a good opportunity to join a consortium at European level, because this European level and transnational level, member states, associated countries, and potentially also non-EU countries, this is one of the key criteria that has to be applied under the partnerships.
Well, thank you very much for this clarification. I think it was a very nice overview, and a great way to understand this instrument better. So I think we're reaching the end of this information session. It's only 1 hour long, so we try to keep it short. I hope it was useful for everyone here, and thank you again, Mrs. Gauthier and Georgiana, for your presentations. All the materials that was presented will be available on the CARE4BIO website. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.